All right, this is going to be a long one. The 4 accounts and how I'm going to utilize them. Um, like I said, the starters were going to be the captains of the referrals. So, Cutter Scout, once you get enough money, across the entire board, I can start buying the modules I want for the Endeavor. And then once this is up and running, then I'm not really going to use the Cutter Scout anymore. They're going to be hanging out in the Endeavor doing the overclocking or blueprint researching or crafting, whatever the Endeavor ends up doing. This Cutter Scout character is going to be hanging out in the Endeavor. The C8R again, and I'm going with the C8R instead of the X because the X does not have a bed, and right now I'm not sure whether a medical bed of the C8R can function as a bed logging bed for this, which I would like to have for starters. That way I can not have to always return to my base in order to log out safely. So that's another question, but still, an XSS ship. But certainly the Liberator is a small enough crew that I can already say, all right, this character slot right here is really going to be the captain of the Liberator, and I can definitely bedlog here and have this inside the Liberator. So that's real set there. As far as, let's just say I have so I have the Razor X and the SRV also on the Liberator, and I can use one of these to self-crew the Liberator because it's all on the same account when capability is open for that. So at that point I could have a gunner or more likely an engineer running around as an NPC, and then have an AI blade running the turret. Just that sort of thing. But also be able to log on to the SRV, have this guy bedlog, have the Liberator go away, and then I'm just hanging out with an SRV in the area which it's going to do its work, and just involve the game there. Here are the kind of things that I was thinking about doing. As I was saying, I got the CitCon24 gear on this one, and this is going to be the character that I pair up with the 600i. And again, I'm not really interested in FPS and combat, but if I want to grind rep with council, then that's probably going to happen. So again, if this guy's going into 600i and they're going to be doing bunkers and FPS, then this was going to be, so this is a Titan. I ended up getting one Titan to C8R War Bond upgrade, and then the Titan went up in price and basically wiped out the savings I got from that War Bond offer, but still it has 10 years insurance on. So that's why this Titan pack had to be on my new referral, because I had to spend the money before October 31st. And that got me the referral. And again, I've spent $5 to have a $5 upgrade, but more importantly, it adds 10 years of insurance on top of, instead of the 2-year insurance or whatever this was, just by itself. So instead of having the Titan up here, I'm doing it here on this account, so I can get that under 10 years and have 10 years or lifetime on everything. Let's see. FHC, I've already talked. Razor. Right, so this is kind of one account here. The Caterpillar is probably one of the things that, well, I guess this is the time. One of the advantages of having multiple accounts is there are friends in my life that I've known from other games that I'm really tight with, that I trust, to say, all right, you don't have to spend any money on Star Citizen. I've already spent way more than I should have. You can utilize my stuff. Hey, you can log into Alt 3. That can be your account. You can do all the things that Alt 3 can do and enjoy the game doing this. Or, hey, you like first-person combat? I've got an account for you. You can get in here, you can play that, you can grind all that rep, you can work that character. And hey, when I want to join you, you'll be running on Alt 2. I'll log into my 12th character, Alt 3, select this character, and I'll come join you. I'll be that backup. And so we could have fun there. Since there's no NPC crew at launch, I want to get this Caterpillar up and running for salvage to produce mats in an effective way fairly quickly. And so I want to get as much crew as I can with possibly other friends of mine logging into these alts. Or, even my main. Or, I log into the main. I'm holding that fourth slot there for, the black. And then everyone else has a character from these. And so for a lot of the ships I wanted to self-crew, I think I'm down to 2 of them. The Caterpillar and the Andromeda. That's the way I'm kind of cheating the possession part that's not available at launch. It's because I have multiple accounts that friends can log on to instead of their accounts. Or if they're just not playing at all, this could be their account. So that was my way of cheating that immersion for the possession aspect that is not going to be at launch. The Andromeda is... hold on one moment. Okay, back. Phone call. I don't exactly remember where I was before, but I think I was talking about the Caterpillar. So trying to bring up different characters from different accounts to fully crew that until there's a point where I can say I can have all 4 of these characters in this Caterpillar and then self-crew it from just within this one account. That way I can just log on to this account and say I can do all the things the Caterpillar do without having to rely on someone else coming in on these accounts, or, this account, what have you, to provide those crew members to provide full functionality for that vehicle. Alt 1 is also going to be the account where it's going to be a down the road things, but stuff I want to have and do in the game at some point. Particularly when going for Academy of Science, they have a lot of medical things. There's also some things that I might be able to do with the Endeavor, and that's why this might be there, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we have no idea what's going to be in each of these guilds and how important and what order I might approach them to kind of get my personal goals of getting crafting and refining blueprints and basically being able to upgrade all these ships to get AI blades. Actually, that's going to be the first thing, to get AI blades craftable so I don't have to run around and purchase them. And then to get upgrades for the powers, because the AI blades, as you saw in the last video, require more power out of the ship as this trade-off. And so if I can improve the efficiency or whatever on that end, then that can reduce the impact. Those are the things I'm going to be focusing on getting out first as far as my crafting, which is kind of like my primary interest in MMOs. And, you know, I really want to focus on that, start getting that, and then, you know, start marketing. You know, I can craft these things that I know you want, so just pay me some money or throw me some hats or what have you, and I'll take care of it for you. And by the way, I'll deliver it on my black or what have you. So, as far as progression, you know, again, starting off with the Cutter Scout, eventually start doing some crafting or overclocking on the Endeavor. The Apollo 2, or excuse me, the Apollo triage, I consider it a daily. You know, it can be run solo. Certainly it has a crew of 2, which, you know, when I eventually can do it, I'll start self-crewing with, you know, these Endeavor person when I'm no longer crafting, so I can get full crew here, Apollo, make it, you know, full capable. And then with this, actually, I may change this to 7. Yeah, actually, I'm going to do that. Since I'm not hanging around doing bounty hunting, this is going to be the first person I pull in for do medical beacons. Again, every time I look at this thing, I'm changing something on it. All right, and then eventually, should I start wanting to grind that bounty hunting rep for Mercenary Guild, then I can have a full crew, and which will definitely be required for this activity. You do not want to do this solo. And I'm not sure whether you can do it solo, given what happened with the Antares being the co-pilot, being the only one to activate the EMP or dampener. And again, this is eventually going to be my Mercenary Guild rep person. I believe that whoever is actually, since we did that, let's move that down here. You know, whoever is crewing the ship, I believe, will be able to accept the missions and then get that rep as well. So that's why I put these question marks, because there's kind of a trickle down for the entire crew. And so that's what's going on there. I believe I touched on briefly the 600i. You know, touring and ERTs, hitting the bunker with 2 players in the G12 coming up from here, or doing solos with the X-Force. And these would kind of be independent, not use this crew here, so they can go hang out and be sent to the places where they're useful on the Liberator and be able to log off. The Andromeda. This is the 3rd alt. Again, the Andromeda is, I think, considered 3 to 4, minimum 3, maximum 4 crew. But pretty much most people right now, because they can, are soloing it. It's got, you know, 4 or 5 size guns, pilot control, plus a whole bunch of missiles. But, you know, yeah, I can solo it, and I may solo it, or whoever's running this account may solo it because they can. But this is a lower priority to self-crew than the Caterpillar. And I may want to wait until I can pull in other characters for self-crewing. And, self-crewing has to be within one account, so I can't bring in from others. But, I can actually transfer the character to the account and have it self-crew there. So depending on what the limit is for this, but, maximum 4. And again, I'm positioning myself to have 4 characters on each account. And that was kind of like my limit of self-crewing. But this would be my racing platform for the Sports Federation. So I'm thinking 11 is eventually going to... Where was I moving 11 to? Actually, I think this is supposed to be 11. So 11, I'm going to have sleeping on the Caterpillar, and 14 sleeping on the Andromeda, and not have the Razor function all the time. That's one option. And to have the Andromeda be my sports grinder, and to run races with the Razor X or the Merlin that comes with the Andromeda. Again, I'm not sure what kind of insurance is going to be, because this is technically not purchased from the pledge store, but kind of is because it comes with the Andromeda. I'm not sure whether they're going to give it the same insurance as the Andromeda. I hope so, but don't know for sure. And then one of my LTI tokens, I don't have the Pulse LX, but some sort of hover racing, it's always interested me, even since 2017. So, keep one of those. The Nox is probably not going to be it, because I'd have to keep both of them. The LX, I mean, it'd have to be really something special. It does help that it's a smaller, and I am utilizing cargo space from the Andromeda. So, again, I'm not exactly sure which one I'll end up with, but, some sort of racer. So I can have all these racing variations to go grind this rep, and whenever I was interested in doing that. And I feel I can do that function solo, so I can save the multi-crew for piling into the Caterpillar. And I guess back up into here, the concierge is going to be living on the crafting station of mine. The refining blueprints is going to be in my starter 315p, which is going to be concentrating on refinery blueprints. I have no idea at this point whether the galaxies are going to be the ships in these 2 referrals. Again, I always have an exit plan. I'm flexible, not applying my CCUs, certainly because these are unmeltable on top of things. So once you make the choice, you're stuck with that choice. So definitely going to have to wait to see if there will be, how they're going to handle crafting as far as that functionality. Let me show you this. So here we have the panels, one of the panels that was shown off at CitizenCon. And here they're talking about the crafting cycle. You're gathering, you're refining, you're crafting, and then you're building. These are the machines that will actually do these are the 3D printers that will be doing the crafting for smaller items based off of your recipes. I think this is the recipe bank here, actually. And so this is crafting. I'm not sure whether there's going to be an entire module built for the Galaxy or some other vehicle that will do that, or whether these are kind of their own machines that, and my biggest fear is that these are only going to be offered on a base, because I want no part of base building. Base buildings are persistent, they're stationary, and I work and I sleep. I prefer not having to pay to live in protected zones and pay that taxes and still be vulnerable to say, okay, well, I just need to bring down this guy's shields before I can get in and raid their base. And thank goodness they're offline, because no one's going to call the cops to show up. So I'm not sure, even in high security space, whether base building is going to be invulnerable to raiding. I'm guessing not, or at least I'm being pessimistic that it will not. So I hope there's a crafting mod for the Galaxy that actually does crafting and is not a drone to build a base building, which is how they are planning on doing the base buildings. Automatic drones are going to run around, grab supplies from your supply pool, and start building these things over time. There was a whole hubbub about the Galaxy this week on Spectrum, and that made me realize, because originally, coming out of CitizenCon, well, I said, oh, well, I need a Star Lancer BLD, because that's going to be my crafting station. Well, then it kind of revealed, okay, this is a drone for making large buildings, because when we were looking at designing the drone system within the Galaxy, we figured now it's not going to work that way to make large buildings. So let's just make a ship and make that functionality there. So the Galaxy potentially losing something that they featured a year ago, as far as the Galaxy is the ship that's going to be able to make large buildings, is what they said. They threw it to the Lancer, and then the community lost their minds. And originally the response is, well, just because we hinted at it last year doesn't mean that it is slated for release. In fact, right now, because of the drone complication, it's not in our plans. It could be in the future. We're not saying it was never considered in the past, certainly because of last year's presentation. But right now, don't expect a building module to come out anytime soon, if at all. And that got a whole lot of people upset. But I was able to segue because the Galaxy has a refining module that's in the store now. So I definitely know that that's going to be a thing. They've committed to that. And I'm not sure whether we're going to get a large specialist craft, like, this is a specialist for building, because the Arastra is both a miner and a refiner in a large form. So I'm guessing that we may not get this, and maybe the only two refineries is the Expanse, the Galaxy, and maybe one in between. But I will tend to get the largest of that. I kind of do support the better to earn down philosophy, but not for earning purposes, but for just capabilities. And, I hope I'm able to kind of solo those things, just to kind of use them, not as the vehicle, but as its function, and just kind of do my solo crafting thing, or gathering thing, or refining thing on that ship. So the Star Lancer BLD I dropped, and I'm now getting 2 Galaxies. But I have no idea whether we're going to get a crafting modules for the Galaxy as a replacement to the base building version that was hinted at. I figured that might be the replacement there. But looking at those sheens, I'm not sure. I mean, certainly CIG is releasing small, medium, large, extra large functionality across many of its loops. And so, I can't just look at one picture and say, okay, well, that's going to be all for the crafting thing. Certainly, that image is a medium crafting machine, and that may very well only be offered in a base. But hopefully it will be offered in a Galaxy. If it's offered as a standalone unit, then I could convert the Galaxy into a cargo and just kind of stage them out on, basically a grid. And, certainly I might be able to build a base with those functions and just pull out the parts and put it on the Galaxy and not have to worry about a base. So there are different things along those lines, but I figured the Galaxy, because it is modular, because it did have some thoughts about being in this realm, that might be the way it goes. But who knows whether there's a Starlancer fabrication that is released that does that and is a specialist. So in that case, this slot would be here. Also, I'm not sure how blueprints are going to work. Certainly because I'm in the mindset of having multiple characters, which may not be necessarily in the mindset of the people who are planning these systems, to say, oh yeah, these people are going to have more than one. In the presentation, they said blueprints, once you apply them, you will never lose them. And so I'm not sure whether these are kind of bound by account. Was it BOE was something you can trade and sell, and BOA was stuff that was locked and you couldn't move around. But what happens when your character dies? Does the knowledge that they have get inherited? That doesn't make sense. So I don't think this has been fully thought through. But in case that is the case, I want my concierge, or at least I want these two blueprint things to be completely out of risk and out of harm's way and have very little chances of getting killed, losing your 9 lives or however many it is, and then having to go through the inheritance process. So the starter, 315p, it's an Origin. It's got nice looks to it. At many times I've thought about this as a small tow truck, or not tow truck, but a delivery truck. So I like this ship because of its looks more so than its functionality and how it fits to my fleet, even though it does serve those. It's a duplicate though, and probably not as capable as a black. And if I am going to have a black, then this kind of loses that functionality a little bit. But now, because of this blueprint thing, I can say, oh, okay, I can get this character in a nice looking ship, and I can enjoy doing the touring type of things and doing that, and not putting these characters at risk, and so forth, maybe losing those blueprints. So there's that. Talked about the MSR, talked about the black. So I believe that kind of covers what I'm doing on my account and why. I hope that that is interesting and revealing to you. It certainly flies in the face of, something that I've is a part of the info runners point of view, that it's easier to earn down than up, and I agree with that in principle. I think they use it a little too generously, because for me, crew size is such an important factor, and what is good for someone's individual circumstance. So, like for example, uh, you know, the advice is generally, simplified. Everyone should get an Orion, because the Orion, you take one trip on that thing, you fill it up, you've got enough money to purchase anything else, or at least it's the quickest way to earn money to purchase everything else in game. And for me, that's makes sense. It's certainly practical, but there are several issues with that. If I'm not able to crew the Orion, its capabilities, and I'm not able to escort the Orion and keep it safe, you know, it may not be earning the money that people assume that it will be. And so there's those issues. So maybe instead of getting the Orion, you get the Erastra, because you still have, the mining, the refining, the storing, and, slowly moving. You do have those vertical elements within the mining and gathering mindset. So it's a smaller crew, it's a smaller vehicle, it's a less capable vehicle, but it can go on land, which adds some benefits. So maybe the Erastra is as high as you can go, because the Orion is just too much of a hassle. So get your LTI token on the Erastra and not the Orion that you're hardly ever going to use. Get it on the Erastra, which you're always going to use, instead of getting an LTI Orion and then buying an Erastra because that's the thing you're going to use. Or the Mole, or the Prospector. Go as far as you think you can go with your circumstances, and then stop there, and then earn anything below that. But something that's always bothered me about the philosophy is, you're buying all this stuff in game, it's going to come with no insurance. And it's obvious to me everyone's wild about LTI. I get shut down so many times by suggesting, hey, you might want to start your chains with a starter pack instead of an LTI token. Oh, no, that can't be. Well, do you realize the earn down, you're getting nothing but uninsured vehicles? So what happened about that passion for LTI? So there's that aspect. But also the warranty program is now a deal. And so only vehicles purchased from the pledge store will get returned to you as a vehicle, instead of some EUC in which you have to go spend time to go out and purchase that ship, its components, all the things you upgraded, or anything along those lines. And also, it's going to be hit with a depreciation depending on how long you've had it since it was last destroyed. So you're losing money in that aspect. So my whole shift in attention is not to go for the biggest ship that I think I can afford to do the things that I think I want to do. I'm going to go to get every ship that I want, that I think I will want to play with in the game, and pledge for it. Because for me, it's easier to pledge for what I want instead of earn for it in the game. Again, saving myself that time. I think that's far superior than earn your way down. And so this is my thing. And, certainly, like I said, I've got 4 accounts, 14 characters now, and 26 vehicles. That should keep me busy for a long time. I think I remember what I was wanting to talk about. I've been playing MMOs for many years. I kind of have my style. I really like crafting in them. I didn't think Star Citizen would have crafting other than overclocking. And I'm thrilled that they're saying every item in the game is now craftable by the players. But certainly my one-stop shop mindset from other MMOs will not be able to work in Star Citizen. There's just too much. And so I want to focus on certain things. And then once I get those done, figure out, okay, what's the next best thing for me? Let's try and set that as a goal and just keep on moving the goalpost once I reach that goal. And another thing that goes a long way with why I recommend the starter packs as a start of chains is that you're self-crewing your vehicles. So you no longer have an empty seat on those possibly critical or important functions of that vehicle. And yes, you can spend time to hire NPC crew to fill those seats. But, again, I'm trying to save time. So I think an NPC in that seat is better than an empty seat. And the 2013 blog also mentions possessing. So another player can take over that NPC that I'm self-crewing with and play that character and have that thing. So I have the highest performing capability from that chair. And a lot of other people are saying, oh, I'm in a big org. My org mates will be the ones, or I've got a group of friends that I play with. They're going to be the ones that crew my ship. I don't think a lot of people are asking themselves, how often is someone else going to want to play what I want to play, when I want to play, and where I want to play? And the where has a lot to do with it, because if I'm relying on an org mate, I've got to go meet that person someplace. And so there's that travel time to get there, that travel time for them to get there. So we meet up, we're now in the same vehicle, and then we got to go someplace in order to do our gameplay. And then what happens when that person wants to leave? Do I have to go back to that rally point so they can get into their ship, so they can go back to their hangar or what have you? There's a whole lot of time wasted in that process that I don't think people are considering. It amazes me that given as much time, I guess that's the downside of this development. So many people are in the game doing their thing or getting frustrated with it, but they're not looking at the future. They're just looking at, okay, how can I enjoy this right now? I guess that's what it is. But that is, I think a major limiting factor for getting a capable body into those seats. And, granted, the people that I meet and see and interact with in the community all have massive, multiple ships on their account because they've been like me over the years. You just add on one more here, one more there, and depending on how long they are or depending on how much budget they have, there are all these people with all these enormous fleets. And I mean, to many people, my fleet is enormous, and granted, I have spent way too much money on this. As far as you're looking at certain aspects of finance or what have you, but many consider my thing too obnoxiously large, and I can't deny that. There will be plenty of open spaces on other people's fleets if I want to go do that thing. So, yeah, I may want to make a deal with a crafter or someone saying, I'm interested in this crafting material. You don't have to pay me money because I've got plenty of money that I'm not buying stuff in the game because I have everything I want as far as the major purchases go in the game already. So just pay me in loot. Pay me in crafting materials. Pay me in a blueprint. Something like that. And I'll be a crew member on that person's team. I can make those deals anytime I want. And certainly I can say, oh, I don't have that crafting mat. You don't have that crafting mat. Okay, well, let's team up and get that. Let's go do the thing where we have a high chance of getting that mat. And that could be a part of me working and being in a multiplayer environment to do the thing that I want to do the most with crafting. And so on my own, I can solo and be perfectly content with my progression and how I'm spending in the game, and not shortcut myself by saying, oh, I'm going to solo a javelin. And I have a javelin. I'm cool. And look, it can get blown apart because I don't have anything to shoot back with. And that's a gross exaggeration, but still, I have a caterpillar. I'm soloing a caterpillar. Oh, I get jumped by pirates? Yeah, they're going to hand me my lunch. But I'm trying to self-crew. And yeah, maybe NPCs aren't going to put up much of a fight, but they're going to put up more of a fight than if I was playing that solo. Because my friends couldn't show up at that time that I wanted to play, that random time that I wanted to play and do that thing. Because again, other people have these humongous fleets. They already want to do their thing. Why do people think that they want to stop their thing to do my thing because I want to do it? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think a lot of people think along those lines. So, I want to create a fleet that I can fully do solo, or I have plenty of stuff to do solo. I have capabilities with, having these multiple accounts, having some of these friends log on to this account and play this character on this ship, and me playing this character over here, and I filled the seat on this character, on this slot. Or someone else who does have their own account, has their own thing going on, will want to meet up, or later on possess one of my characters to be a crew member. I'm just trying to create more means in order for me to scale up into these multi-crew ships and vehicles, and just kind of plan for how I see CIG's vision based on the stuff that we learned this last CitizenCon. And that's what this whole going back to the drawing board is about, and how I'm doing all these crazy moving this guy over here and this guy over there, and back and forth. That's the reason for it all, and to find at least someone to grind the 6 guilds so I can start unlocking whatever this guild has to offer. You know, does the United Resource Workers have a whole bunch of refining blueprints that I want that are only available if you're exalted with them on rep? So yeah, that may be I'd spend a whole lot of time in the prospector, kind of doing my thing. So it's just thinking about those things, positioning myself to say, who am I as a gamer? What have I done in other games? How have I enjoyed this thing? Seeing what the presentation is with Star Citizen, and how do I match those things? So the money I have spent on this, I can get the maximum amount of enjoyment that I think I will get out of this, but still always have an exit plan. I'm keeping everything unapplied. I'm not moving anything right now. The vast majority of my stuff is on my main. I have, $40 to $50 here, $40 to $50 here to unlock the referrals. But outside of that, and all that can be transferred over to my main if I wanted to. But everything is unapplied on my main right now. And once we learn more about how many characters we can have on a single account, this kind of allocation may change a lot, and I may only have the starter and the referral on each of these 3. And so, again, be flexible for whatever CIG decides to do, and don't completely buy into anything that they say we're trying to go for, because unlike what some other people think, that's not a promise. And I've been very disappointed with the community reaction on, the Galaxy situation. But it is what it is. So anyway, we're at an hour and a half. I normally don't even do Total War videos this long. So thank you all for watching. I hope you got some useful information. This hearing how another player approaches this game, what they're trying to do. If any of this stuff makes sense to you and you can utilize it, that would just make me so happy that some crazy idea that I came up with, some weird aspect of how I approach this issue, is beneficial to someone else. That's the whole purpose of why I'm online and talking about these things. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider giving it a thumbs up and comment your thoughts. Are there things that you approach the thing? Share with me your ideas. I want to learn from you as much as I hope that you can learn from me, or at least get exposed to different ideas, different perspectives. Feeding the algorithm is great. All this is fine. Growing the channel, that's fine. Potentially getting large enough to pay for some computer upgrades, that'd be great, but not necessary. I just want to put my thoughts out there and hopefully do some good for the community that I really appreciate. And so thank you again for watching. We'll catch you on the next time. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of new videos, all that jazz. Take care, everyone. Bye.